NARP, come watch, it's time, set the clock. Hitting like Ray off the block. Feel like MJ with the rock. Home run like Sammy Sosa. 2 clutch last period. Get ready, set, go. This a NARP experience. It's a NARP experience. It's a NARP experience. It's a NARP experience. It's a NARP experience.
All right, Dex, we're back. Very exciting round of playoff games this past weekend. A lot of crazy things happened throughout the weekend. First game up we saw was the Buffalo Bills won a close one against the Indianapolis Colts. What are your takeaways from that game?
It was pretty much what I expected. I expected it to be it's a little closer than I thought. I expected it to be a close game. I expected it to be good. I honestly expected the Bills probably to score a couple more points, and I probably thought the Colts would score a few less. I'm pretty sure I got this game wrong on spread wise, but
yep.
The Colts played a hard fought game. They just couldn't move the ball, and they couldn't come from behind
Right.
like I thought. So I mean, all it is the Bills looked to be well oiled. They're definitely a legit team this year. I don't know where the Colts go from here. I don't think Phillip Rivers is their answer.
No, I
We'll
think
see what they do this offseason.
Yeah, I think they're going to have a lot of questions with that, the quarterback position. Do they possibly want to take a look at Jacoby Brissett still? I know he's still the backup there, and he has his moments when he does end up, playing. But yeah, it came down to the Bills were in control, and like you said, you had mentioned it beforehand. If the Colts were going to be down to start the game, it had been hard for them to win it just being down and having to play themselves back into it. So we saw Josh Allen look just as good as he did throughout the regular season. Stephon Diggs, those two making plays together. But yeah, it was definitely. I think we expected a close game. The spread being, I don't remember the spread exactly. We did mention it the other day, but the Bills winning by 3 isn't surprising.
No, not at all.
And it's the Bills' first playoff victory in a quarter century. So congrats to the Buffalo Bills. I know I've got a lot of Buffalonian friends out there, and they're going crazy right now. So well earned for the Bills.
And I know they're favorites going into next week's game too.
Yep.
If I'm not mistaken, I think they're 3 to 3.5 point favorites against the Ravens.
Yep, they're playing Baltimore. That game will be Saturday at 8:15. That's going to be a really good one as well. I'm looking forward to see what that matchup entails and what happens there. So next up, we had the Los Angeles Rams beat the Seattle Seahawks in a crazy game. They won 30-20.
And it wasn't that close either.
No.
The score says that, but it was not that close. The Rams honestly controlled this game from the first snap to the final snap. The Seahawks could not move the ball. It was actually pathetic to watch. The Seahawks are supposed to be able to just get by on Russell Wilson's skill, and I've seen it time and time again, where Russell Wilson will just make these crazy plays and keep them in the game, if not win them the game. And the Rams just had their number. And Wolford went out in the first quarter with a head injury, and Jared Goff came in, and there were several times where he just completely missed throws, and you could tell because of his hand.
Yep.
And, he was even moving gingerly back there in the pocket, trying to avoid hits and all that stuff, as you should do
Right.
when you have a dislocated thumb of roughly 2 weeks ago. And yeah, the Rams honestly just destroyed the Seahawks. This was a blowout. I was wrong. It went the complete opposite way I thought it was going to.
Yeah, we both had the Seahawks. But it was a Cam Akers day, dude. I mean, 28 carries, 131 yards. He kind of was in full control of their offense.
Yeah, the Seahawks defense, we knew it this whole year that it wasn't the greatest. It's
no longer the
one of
Legion
the worst
of Boom.
ones they've had in a long time. And the Rams defense is legit. They are good. It's just something about the playoffs and Aaron Donald and that front seven is just
they're insane.
Really, really, really good. And then they have Ramsey in the back there.
Yeah, their defense is really good. It's clearly has been what's kept them, winning games throughout the season. Because I don't think me and you are big believers in Jared Goff, but we knew that Jared Goff would have to play an amazing game if he were to play with sustaining that injury. But he looked good enough for them to, secure the dub.
The Rams got a good defense, man. I'm pretty sure they got Kenny Young too.
Yep.
Kenny Young. They got John Johnson. They're scary.
That front seven is scary, and I don't think a lot of opposing offenses, especially quarterbacks, want to see that. So,
Jared Goff doesn't turn the ball over, and they can move it like they did in some of the games this year. Like we said earlier in our last recording, that they were a different team every other week. It felt like this year. So you don't know what Rams team you're going to get, but if you're going to get the Rams team that can get pressure on the quarterback and stop the run, and their back four, their front seven.
Yep.
They make plays. So
yeah, man.
If you can't move the ball against them, it's going to be tough to beat them because that's a team that can sustain drives. Because Cooper Kupp and Robert Woods are just
they're playmakers.
They're good across the middle. It's hard to stay up with those guys. So
right. They'll be facing off the Green Bay Packers Saturday. That's going to be another good matchup. We'll see if they can slow Aaron Rodgers down. We'll see what happens with that game. So, moving on. The Bucs won a close one. It was kind of ugly for them. The Buccaneers beat the Washington football team 31-23. Dexter, what are some little tidbits you took from that outing?
I would have liked them to score a couple more points. I mean, 31's obviously good, but I felt like they left a lot on the board.
Yep.
I don't know exactly what went on, but I don't know how Washington scores 23 points.
Yeah.
Taylor Heineke was just making plays on the ground for them. It felt like every time I looked up, he'd be running the ball and getting them a first down. And he played great for them.
Yeah, he looked like a starting quarterback. Like he was playing like that.
Did. He looked like the best quarterback they've had all year, to be honest. But we knew the Bucs would win. Won by 8, so I think they covered if you took them on the opening line. But anyone else, you missed it.
Yep.
You're like me. But they won by 8. Everyone knew that they would win. I know the Bucs didn't have Devin White, so him being back, that'll help them. I don't know what goes on for the Washington football team. Maybe they'll find an identity both in their team name and to run their quarterback position next year. I have no clue what's going to happen with that.
Nope.
Unfortunately, their draft pick doesn't seem too good. Maybe they'll have to trade up to get somebody. We'll see what goes on with them.
Yeah, I mean, and for Alex Smith not being healthy for the times he did play this year, he looked great. Honestly, it's a good story for him. Come back. I mean, he had his moments. The team still ended up going 7-9. So very. I mean, I wouldn't say impressive because that entire division was. We all know about the NFC East. But they definitely put up a fight to Tom and the Bucs. And like you said, Heineke looked good.
Yeah, it's not that urgent. I don't think it's that urgent for them to move on Alex Smith.
Nope.
Obviously, you want to if you can, if something comes up. But, I mean, if he's just going to be the game-managing quarterback, and it looks like they have a defense out there. So
right.
We'll see what they add this upcoming draft and potentially in free agency this year. And I think they'll have a little bit of money to play with. So
it was good.
See what happens next year.
Yeah,
I mean, they made the playoffs. It's always good to set that precedent. Right. Always good to change the culture. And, I mean, props around Rivera. He did it in 1 year. So
right. And it was good to see Mike Evans out there healthy as well. I know he had a knee scare in the last regular season game, and he had a great game, 6 catches for 119 yards, just looking like the Mike Evans we know. So him and Brady are continuing to just gain some more confidence with each other. It looks good. It's going to bode well for them moving forward because that clearly wasn't their best game, and it can only be up from here. So the Bucs will be facing New Orleans Sunday at 6:40 p.m. That'll be a great game. We know those two regular seasons. We know about those two in the regular season, and that's just going to be a very great matchup between Breeze and Brady. I'm looking forward to that one.
Yeah. It's going to be the last time they probably play each other in the playoffs, at least.
Right.
Maybe ever.
Right, possibly ever. So we'll see how that one goes, but it's going to be a goodie. Next up, don't really want to get into it, but we're going to do it. The Cleveland Browns put a spanking on my Pittsburgh Steelers. 48-37 was the final score. It was 35-10 at halftime. Just what an ugly offensive game, and even defensively for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I mean, Ben had a great statistical line, but it doesn't look well for how the game actually went. Dex, what's your takes on that game?
The first play of the game just set the tone, honestly. The Browns didn't have their starting corners, they didn't have their head coach, and they didn't have their all-pro right guard, all-pro caliber right guard. I did not expect them to win the game without all of those guys, to be honest. When I found out that their corners were both out too, I just figured the Steelers would be able to just nickel and dime them down the field and just at least get a lead and force the Browns to throw it. But first play of the game, when your two leader vets on the offense, let something like that happen, it doesn't bode well for your momentum, and they just couldn't overcome it. The Browns just kept the onslaught going. I'm pretty sure they picked Ben off on the next drive in their own territory and scored again. And when you're down 28-0 after the first quarter, there's just not a whole lot you can do to come back and win. I mean, they put up a fight. They scored 37 points, but
at that point it was just too late.
I don't know if that game is more of showed us how good the Browns can be, or just it was the Steelers. It was a classic Steelers.
I think it was just a classic Steelers loss. Yeah,
it really was.
I mean, like you said, the momentum was in the hands of Cleveland immediately, and from that point, the Steelers were just crawling and inching back. And even at that point, it just seemed like they had no momentum. They had already told themselves they lost. Like, you could just see in the field of play, like, it was bad.
Ben done?
No, I think Ben wants to play some more, and I think he wants to show the world that we had a chance to do something. I mean, starting off the season 11-0, of course, no one thought that, but Ben is still trying to prove something to people, and I think he wants to show that he can still try and win at a high level. So I see him coming back, but possibly maybe just one more season. But it's time for Pittsburgh to evaluate that position. I feel like we've seen a decline in Ben over the years. I mean, once again, the stats look great, but you can just tell himself.
Yeah, it was all just a game plan. The Browns were letting you guys. I mean, they didn't have their starting corners, and they were letting you guys just. I mean, obviously they're not letting you do it, but Ben threw the ball 65 plus times. So.
He threw the ball 68. 47 of 68 passes, 501 yards, 4 touchdowns. I mean, 68 passes at his age, it's just like, that's crazy to me. So
that's a lot.
It's a lot.
70.
It's threw the ball basically 70 times, so it's pretty crazy. I mean, Cleveland's got a little momentum now, so they will be facing off Kansas City Sunday at 3 o'clock. I think we know how that one's going to go. But we'll see. Cleveland, they put up a lot of points this game, so we'll see what happens. The Baltimore Ravens won by a touchdown against the Tennessee Titans. Outside of the interception, it was a Lamar Jackson game. We knew that that's what it was going to be going into it. What were your thoughts from that?
I loved watching them dance on their logo after the game. I don't know how you felt about that, but I loved it.
Did you?
I saw, Ed Reed.
Tell me how you really feel.
Ed Reed on Twitter was blasting them, saying win with class. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think it's good for the game. I think it's good for the sport. You want rivalry. You want drama, and that was it. I loved it. I love every second of it. I wish more teams were doing stuff like that. I mean, the Browns Steelers had great drama. The Ravens Titans had great drama. Outside of that, we didn't get much. We got good games, a couple, but I love it. Just to hit that, it was great, honestly. But the game itself, the Ravens went down early. The Titans offense, surprisingly, the Titans defense looked good.
Yeah.
The Titans defense this year has not been good.
It's been very hit or
It
miss.
has not been good. It has not been good. It's been like bottom 5, I'm pretty sure, in the league.
Yeah.
Last second half of this year, and I expected the Ravens to put up more points, to be completely honest with you, and I expected the Titans to put up around 21, but they couldn't really do anything. They scored all their points early on, and Ravens just, honestly, I think they were the better team. I think they've been the better team this whole year, and they just went out and showed it in this game. Really, they just went out there and balled out. They did what the Ravens do. They stop you and they score. They score enough to win. And I think Lamar Jackson looked great.
Yeah, he looked awesome. I mean, this is what he was supposed to do. This is going into this year. People were talking about, well, can Lamar do it in the postseason? Can he do it in the playoffs? And of course, we want to also see, how well of an actual passer he is, because once you get into these situations, there's no way you're going to be able to just do it all on the run. People are going to game plan for that.
I mean, that run play, though, really won him the game.
Yeah.
That was beautiful. That's why running quarterbacks are all the rave right now in the NFL. Ever since Kaepernick torched the Packers, I feel like, in that playoff game back in, was it 2011, 2012?
2012.
Ever since that happened, it's been running quarterbacks have been. There was a little blimp there where everyone thought they were figured out after RG3 got hurt. Everyone thought it was dead. The gimmick of the Wildcat and all that good stuff was gone. But
Lamar's just
quarterbacks.
He's just so dynamic that it's like, how can you not game plan around his skill set and what he can do on the field? Because it's a different avenue to win football games. I mean, we always just thought the quarterback had to be the
really is.
So it looked great. I think he looked awesome. I was expecting a bigger game from Derrick Henry, but that Ravens defense was just locked down.
Yeah, they really what it is the defensive ends on the Ravens. They just set the tone on the line of scrimmage all day, and Henry had nowhere to go.
Nope.
Absolutely nowhere to go. That's where Calais Campbell and Judon earned their money, and boy did they earn it, because the 2,000-yard rusher, 48 yards?
Something like that. Let me see.
It's no simple task, so they earned their money that game. What do you think the Titans do this offseason? Any big moves? Think they just run it back?
I don't know. I think they need to shore up that defense.
Do they go to the draft?
They have some defensive playmakers, but they definitely need to shore up some different areas. I don't mind Tannehill. Like, he won them a playoff game. Was it 1 or 2 last year? Just 1, right? I believe. He's not a bad game manager, and Derrick Henry's a beast. We know that. So honestly, it's the defense that needs to shore up. I don't think we'll see any crazy moves. They'll find a way to maybe get better secondary or better front line, but they're pretty set as far as the offense goes, I believe. What about you?
I believe they had a couple guys banged up on the offensive line this year, and
right.
They just, I don't know. You just can't go out there and score 13 points in a playoff game. I think, and I understand it's the Ravens, but just I don't know.
Yeah, you're not going to win a game if you're only.
I don't know what they're going to do, because Ravens just stopped the run, and they look great. I mean, their defense just look great. If their defense comes out like that, they're scary.
Right.
They're scary. I honestly think it's more of a testament to the Ravens defense than it is to the Titans offense's failures last week.
Yeah.
So,
I agree.
I think they'll be fine. I think they load up on that defense a little bit, get some more players on that defensive front.
Yep. But as far as the offense goes, they're in good position, I think. I think
they got a lot of weapons.
Yeah, for sure.
They'll be good for a couple
and like I said, I think Tannehill is a fine game manager. There's no need to go out and make a big time move for another QB or so. He's fine. It's that defense that just needs to make some changes. They will be facing the Buffalo Bills at 8:15 on Sunday. And then lastly, Dex, our last matchup. Full control by the New Orleans Saints. They beat the Chicago Bears 21-9. It just looked like another typical breeze game we've seen in the past.
The Bears scored a touchdown on the last play of the game. That was. I mean, we all saw. I mean, we all saw the Bears struggling, but I didn't think they'd score 3 points.
No.
I mean, I thought they'd find their way into the end zone once. Obviously, Wims
Yeah.
had that drop pass. I know we all watched the game on Nickelodeon, so Saints reached the slime zone a couple of times. Young Shelton is out there explaining.
Love how they did that. That was kind of cool.
Yeah, Sean Payton did get slimed too at the end of the game.
Really?
Yeah, and I don't know, for anyone out there who did not watch on Nickelodeon, one, you missed out, and two, the MVP, Nick's most valuable player, went to Mitch Trubisky with 49% of the vote after putting up 3 points until the last play of the game.
Yeah,
That is hilarious. That is hilarious. He's somehow made a Pro Bowl. I know it was like an injury
replacement
replacement type of thing, and he is the MVP. So Deshaun Watson, and Patrick Mahomes take that. Yeah, the Bears, they got to figure out their quarterback, because Nick Foles is not it, and Mitch Trubisky is not it, and they gave up. I don't remember what they gave up for Trubisky, but they had to move. They moved up to take him.
Moved up in that draft to take him, and
that was a mistake.
No, he will be out of a Chicago Bears job come this summer. I know he's a free agent. I just don't see them bringing him back. And I
don't know where they go.
And I don't know where he goes from here.
Their defense is good. It is the Bears. Their defense is always going to be good, and I like David Montgomery and Allen Robinson. I don't know what's going to go on with him. I think he's going to end up elsewhere. Yeah. So I don't know. The Bears got some work to do on that offense. They got some serious work to do on that offense. So.
Right. We were talking about the Titans only scoring 13. You're not going to win a playoff game. You're not going to win a playoff game or any game, let alone scoring 9 points. Yeah. And like you said, a last-minute touchdown. So it was basically 3 the entire game. Like, you're just not going to win anything. And especially,
it was the most boring game I watched all weekend. It was not even close.
Right.
Wasn't even close.
And now New Orleans moves on to a matchup that they're familiar with, and I know that they're most likely excited for, with facing Tom and the Bucks Sunday at 6:40. So, what are you expecting for that game? You think we're gonna have some crazy happen with that?
We'll talk more about that one on the next episode. I'm not trying to give them. I'm not trying to give away all my
spoilers,
all my predictions quite yet.
I got you. Well, that's the matchups, folks. We had some crazy wild card playoff games. Great weekend of football.
We got a couple of other notes here today for some news across the NFL. We have Doug Pederson was fired today from the Eagles. What do you think about that? You think that was the right move? You think that was the wrong move?
I don't hate it. He is a Super Bowl winning coach, and I don't hate the move, but clearly they've had some issues over the last couple of years, especially with Wentz and Pederson not always being on the same page. It might be good for Carson Wentz. However, I do think this is Jalen Hurts' team moving forward now. So I don't think it's a bad move for Philly. Try and get someone else in there to maybe help Carson Wentz out, because I know he's still a talented quarterback. I think at this point so many injuries have riddled him that he might be in his head at this point. It's all mental. But we know Carson to be a good quarterback. I mean, he was just an MVP.
I don't know about that. I think that was a fluke year, if you ask me.
It might have been a fluke year.
I mean, it just depends. The thing is that we don't know yet. It's too young. He hasn't played enough.
Right.
It's his issue that he had no help, because they haven't really had crap for 2 years.
Right.
Or was it coaching?
Yeah, he doesn't have the greatest selection of weapons.
Hurts came in and threw a 400-yard, 4 touchdown game against the Cardinals. So, I don't really know what's going on there, and I think I think the Eagles realized it was time to part ways with Pederson. We don't know all the details about what went on inside the locker room, but we do know that one of the main reasons was Doug was tired of being told what to do. So, I mean, maybe they were did Doug want to play Hurts? Were the people telling him to play Hurts? Who knows?
Right.
But I think it remains to be seen. Obviously, there were the reports that Carson wants out of Philly now. A new coach comes in. Maybe maybe Carson will be his guy. Maybe Hurts will be the guy. But
Right.
I think it's almost time for the Eagles to hit the reset button because they got a lot of vets on their team. So if they can't put something together in these next 2 years,
Right.
uh,
You're just looking at a massive payroll that's going to be leading you to nothing.
yeah, and they got to figure out the quarterback position. That's always the question in the NFL is who's going to be your quarterback. So
Right.
I mean, they got 2, and they got to pick one of them. And it'll all just come down to whoever they hire as the head coach and what direction they want to take going forward.
Right. It always comes back down to it.
I think getting rid of Doug was the right play, though. I do.
Yeah, I was going to say
at this point, it's just over. It's just
in sports, it's just inevitable that the coach is the one that takes the fall. But like, it's not even that Pederson's taken the fall. I think this is just the right move for the franchise, like you said. Bring in one more line, another coach with his own
line's old.
Right, the line's old. You might need to refresh that up. They need to look into some more other areas like personnel wise, but this is where it starts. So not a bad move, I don't think. Moving on, we had another signing here with the Dallas Cowboys, Dan Quinn. You're very familiar with Mr. One Dan Quinn. Can you go ahead and let us know how you feel about him being added to the Cowboys as their defensive coordinator?
Good luck in Dallas. If you had issues with the defense these past couple of years, I don't know that these issues are going to be fixed. Right. I love Dan Quinn. I think his ability to motivate a team and get the players to play for him is the best, better than any of the coaches I've seen in Atlanta in the past 20 years. So definitely props to him on that end. But the just didn't come together for him. And in Dan Quinn's scheme, you got to rush the passer. And unfortunately in Atlanta, we just could not do it. And once at any point could we rush the passer in his tenure here. So it was rough for us. The Cowboys have some better players in that sense. So maybe he'll be a little more successful there. He'll obviously have to shore up the back end. Obviously Dan Quinn was a boom guy in the Seahawks, and he's going to try to replicate that most likely because that's what he tried to do with us in Atlanta. So we'll see. I mean, I think it'll be better than it was in Atlanta just because you have some more talented pass rush. But I'll be watching all the Cowboys games next year. I'll be watching every single one of those. Every time they're on defense, I'm watching.
Yep.
Because if he can go out there and he turns them into some great defense, I am going to be so spiteful and so bitter that my beloved Atlanta Falcons could not replicate that with that man. So, I mean, I'm happy for him. I do think he deserves another shot as a DC.
I think it's a great move. I mean, think about that division. The Cowboys are only one game away from making the playoffs as far as their record goes.
The offense is already set, too.
The offense is set.
Their offense is set for years at this point.
Right. Their offensive line needed work. Zeke didn't have the greatest year, and, of course, we know about Dak going down. But the offense is fine. It's that defense, and I think bringing in someone like Dan Quinn, who, once again, helped start the Legion of Boom in Seattle, was a big part of that. I think it could replicate just fine. Once again, you don't have to win as many games when you're in that division. It just feels like no matter what, whatever team's winning that is, of course, going to have a playoff spot. So you switch up him, bringing him in, it might be able to change, your record for maybe 2-3 games. So I like the move a lot, for sure.
If you're a Cowboys fan, get ready to watch your team get a lead and then watch teams absolutely gash you down the field for big plays quarter after quarter. So don't be surprised if you guys are up 10 and the other team comes out and a mediocre quarterback, which you'll see a lot of those in the NFC East, just starts gashing you guys for 12-yard plays because that's what happened in Atlanta. So don't be surprised when it happens. You better hope Randy Gregory and DeMarcus Lawrence and Aldon Smith
Van Der Esch
come out with something to prove every time they're on the field. Because if you can't rush the passer, it is going to be a long tenure.
Yep.
For him there. So
I think it's a good move though for Dallas. Good hiring move, no doubt. We'll see though. And then lastly, Dex got some wild news about Mr. Deshaun Watson.
yeah,
Possibly
Deshaun
wanting
Watson is
out. Yeah.
Yeah, he is unhappy in Houston. I can't say I blame him. They are a garbage franchise, and they have been since they came into the league. His concern is the owner, based off the reports today, that the owner is not involved in the hiring process for a new GM when he said he would be, and Deshaun really wanted Bieniemy to the Chiefs OC to get an interview, and he didn't. So, yeah, Deshaun Watson wants out, and I can't say I blame him. And Texans are looking like a complete dumpster fire
Yes.
of an organization, and there were reports today that a potential Watson for Tua and some picks trade could go down.
That's interesting.
I think. I mean, if Watson wants out, the Texans are losing the trade. You're losing the trade. There's no way around it. You're losing the trade.
Right.
Maybe if you do the Tua trade, I mean, if that's really on the table, I think there's no choice other than accept it. If you are the Texans, I mean, obviously maybe you can hear out some of the teams, but you're getting a young, promising quarterback in Tua, and depending on what the picks are, I'd assume they'd be pretty good because I can't even remember the last time a player like Deshaun Watson was traded in the NFL. A young quarterback who is probably top 5 in the league,
Right.
healthy, wants out. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm with you.
It is such a dumpster fire, and it's crazy. Honestly, it's crazy. This is absolutely crazy.
Well, yeah, I was going to say, it just doesn't add up to me how you trade his best weapon one season prior. That clearly is going to upset him. And this is supposed to be your franchise. Yeah, and you kept the GM. And then this is supposed to be your franchise quarterback. Like, he's young, he's talented, he can win football games if you put some talent around him. But you traded his best asset, his best piece last year, which made no. I mean, I know that he had his own issues. Hopkins did with was it with Bill O'Brien and the GM, or was it just with Bill? Yeah, I mean,
Bill O'Brien lost the locker room.
Right, he lost.
I mean, but that was a long time coming. They messed up by just keeping him, and he just had too much on his plate. He was the GM and the coach, and I just don't understand how all this happens. All this happens, and then you don't listen to what Watson wants.
Right.
Like, I mean, obviously he's not holding. It's not like he's holding the organization hostage. He just wanted the owner to be involved in the hiring process for coaching the GM, and he just wasn't. Like, how can you expect to keep your star? You're literally not even your star. He's your everything. Happy, and
he's literally your everything.
You're not even trying. So I have no idea what's going on there. I have no idea. All I know is this is horrible for the Texans, and honestly, it's bad for the NFL because. I mean, it's good news and all that stuff now. It's just not. It's not good having a franchise that's run like this. It's just not good.
Right. It sucks if you're a Texans fan, no doubt, because you just watched one of the top 5 receivers in the league get traded from your team last year, and now you're looking at, like we said, a potentially top 5 quarterback having to be on his way out of the door as well. And if you're once again a Houston Texan fan, it just doesn't bode well for your organization. So we'll definitely see. We'll continue to monitor that and talk about it here at the channel, but it's looking bad for the Texans. So we shall see what happens with one Mr. Deshaun Watson.
We have just a quick little discussion on COVID in the NBA right now. That is coming down pretty hard on a couple of teams.
Yep.
We have the Celtics are missing Tatum, who was also the Eastern Conference Player of the Week this last week.
Yep.
And contact tracing
Yep.
is has unfortunately led to 2 of their games now being postponed. And we have Seth Curry came down with it, which led to one of the Sixers games probably should have been postponed.
Yeah.
Wasn't. Don't know how that works. And now we have the Mavericks, who have apparently 4 players who have COVID on their team right now. Maxi Kleber being one of the confirmed ones. We have Dorian Finney-Smith, Jalen Brunson, and Josh Richardson. 2 of those 3 apparently have it, and they're in Denver still. And then another undisclosed role player has it. And because of contact tracing, again, their game tonight against the Pelicans was postponed. And I don't know what's going to happen with their games this week. Wednesday they have a game against the Hornets. That might get postponed. And I believe Friday they play the Bucks, and that might get postponed. So, also the Wizards have played 3 teams in a row that after they have played them have been affected by COVID, because they played the Heat, they played the Celtics, and they played... who was the other team? Heat, the Celtics, and the Sixers.
Yeah.
Those are the last 3 teams they've played.
Right.
So I don't know what's going on with that. I don't know how the contact tracing all works.
Yeah, it's
I don't know. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, it's very confusing as far as what their protocols are. I think me and you had just talked about it before hopping on the pod, that their players, when they're on the road, are allowed to have 2 guests, and that those 2 guests aren't being tested for COVID and aren't a part of the contact tracing. But here we are, we're watching a Sixers team that had 9 players out today. Like, it's pretty excessive, man. And the NBA is being tested right now as far as with what their rules and protocols are with this, because it's all unpredictable times. So it's just really unfortunate for us as sports fans to have to see, some of our favorite teams and players constantly getting games postponed and canceled. But we knew that this was going to happen at some point, especially because they're not in the bubble. So it's not an NBA bubble anymore. Teams are going to be on the road. People are on the road. And it just sucks for, teams having to play so undermanned. It just feels like we're not getting, the full product.
It doesn't feel fair.
Yeah, it doesn't feel fair. It doesn't
fair.
feel like we're getting the full product of what these teams are supposed to be putting out.
I say obviously the rules are rules. They want to keep the season going, but I think they should keep the season going.
Right.
But, like, with the Sixers the other night, that game should have been postponed. I'm sorry.
Right.
It should have been. The quality of the play is going to be down. And obviously you want to keep the games being played, but it doesn't look like it's so rampant right now that that game could have afforded to be postponed. If the Celtics already have 2 games postponed,
right,
the Mavericks are looking at a couple right now that are going to be postponed, then what was the issue with postponing the first Sixers game? I don't see it. I think it should have been postponed. And we wait and see. We have to wait and see what's going on. I don't know if any of the Heat players came down with COVID. I know that because of the contact tracing, a lot of them were out tonight. We just played the Magic the other night. I don't know if any of them are going to have any issues, or if their organization is going to have any issues with contact tracing. I certainly hope not. But
right.
The league, I think, has done a pretty good job thus far. I just think their biggest mistake was just not postponing that Sixers game, because it's really unfortunate they had to go out there that undermanned.
Right.
Play the game.
It's just not fair for the product. It's for us as fans. We want to see the best of the best facing off against each other, and it's just unfortunate because we knew that.
We knew
the
NBA split the season up into 2 halves schedule because of they wanted to be able to postpone games.
Right.
I just don't. I don't know. How many times have there been teams only having 8 players, and they need to have 8 to play? How many other situations have happened so far? Have any even happened so far where there were only 8 players for a team and they were forced to play a game? Other than that,
I don't think so.
I think that's just. I don't know. They didn't even really have 8. Mike Scott wasn't going to play because he was coming off an injury. So he only dressed to make the game happen.
Right.
So, I feel like they need to revisit that and maybe bump it up to 9 players to make a game happen, because just to avoid that. I mean, and they can revisit it at any time. So.
Right, they can or they can put a halt on the season just like they did last year at any point if they really wanted to. I mean, at the end of the day, this just comes down to people's safety and making sure we're also getting the best possible product out there when watching these games. I don't want to see a team's, G League sensation starting and playing 40 minutes. No offense to that guy. I'd love to watch new players and stuff, but, we're there to see the stars, and we want to see the best go at each other. So it's a tough time. I think the NBA still has it's a learning process, and we're all going to just learn about it as we go. Every day's a new day with it, so I'm sure they'll make their adjustments, and we'll still have a safer product some way somehow. But yeah, it is unfortunate that we're just getting games postponed, and teams not being able to pull out their full squad, their full rosters. So it's kind of unfortunate.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure by the next time we talk, we'll have a better idea for what's going on with some of these teams, or maybe even more teams will come down with it. And I'm pretty sure we'll have some more NBA news on the protocols. I'm pretty sure they're trying to implement some more rules. Some more protocols to just make it safer and try to limit exposure for everybody as much as they can. So I'm sure later this week we'll have more to talk about this. But for now, I would say it hasn't been horrible. I think that they've been pretty blessed to not have as many issues as
no crazy outbreaks.
As we probably thought they would have. As we probably thought they would have.
Right. It's been pretty good.
So far, so good.
Right.
But definitely hope all the players who have come down with it recover well, and hope they all stay safe. And
that way us fans can enjoy these games.
Hopefully they come back healthy and keep the season going, and not only for them, but for everybody.
Because I'm sure at some point we want to crown a champion.
Even the players.
So we'll definitely see what happens, and we'll be sure to update everyone on the news as it continues to develop. So
thanks for tuning in to the NARP experiment. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel, and we will be producing 2 to 3 videos a week.
Continue to follow the channel for the hottest in sports content. We'll be coming at you guys with more stuff throughout the year. Thanks.
NARP, come watch, it's time, to the clock. Hitting like Ray off the block. Feel like MJ with the rock. Home run like Sammy Sosa. 2 clutch last period. Get ready, set, go. This a NARP experience. It's a NARP experience. This a NARP experience. This a NARP experience. This a NARP experience.